Yo, what's going on? Chavo Guerrero Jr. here, giving a big shout out to Wrestling Rehab. Keep watching, keep listening, and Viva la Raza.
Órale. All right, man. So, Trucker Wrestling Rehab. Shouts to all the junkies out there. Okay, man. So, in case anybody does not know, if you're watching this live, we are just about, I know Elimination Chamber already passed, okay? But we are just about one day away from the 1 year anniversary that John Cena turned heel, selling his soul to the Brahma Bull / the final boss, right? And I never really actually gave my thoughts deep down about it too much. I mean, I talked about it here and there, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to break down John Cena's final year. We'll talk about his career as well, man. He's one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest ever to do it, right? So let's go ahead. Let's bring on the panel list, man. From South Central Los Angeles, one, Mr. Big Bird.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, well, we'll find out, Bird. We'll find out right now, dog. And we'll go ahead and bring in the guy who says, say your prayers and take your vitamins, and his son will hit you with a car. One, Mr. Pablo.
How dare you say he's the greatest brother? I'm the greatest brother.
That you know what? That's a good conversation that we're gonna get into as well, man. We'll definitely get into that conversation. We should have a fourth panelist jumping on. He's running late. It's windy outside. What does that have to do with it? I don't know. I remember somebody went to go get some food one time, and they came back and the order was wrong. And I'm like, hey, the order's wrong. And they're like, oh yeah, it was raining outside. And I'm like, what? It's raining outside, so the order's wrong. I don't understand what. Anyway, all right, gentlemen. So John Cena. All right. First of all, I'll go ahead and I'll ask this before we get into his whole final year. Before his final year, where did John Cena stand for you, Big Bird, as far as biggest superstar? He doesn't have to be your favorite, but Hulk Hogan wasn't everybody's favorite. Stone Cold wasn't everybody's favorite. The Tribal Chief isn't everybody's favorite, but we know where they stand. There's a different level. There may be big stars, but there's a different level where those guys stood. Where does he stand, Big Bird, before the whole final year run?
Well, I always have put him maybe number 6, number 7 on my top 10, lists.
Mm.
The first ones are like, Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, etc.
Hang on. Did you say Kane?
Yeah.
Okay. You got Kane above John Cena.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then
Okay. Go for it.
Hey, don't be a hater, Cholo.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Big Bird. Go ahead.
yeah, and then well, to me, I like John Cena, but I'm not a big fan like that. Like oh my God, but I just like the fact that when I was a teenager, I was worried when The Rock left and Stone Cold left because you know how WCW Vince bought WCW, so I always had this thing in mind, like, wow, man, where is the WWE gonna go from here? Because The Rock left, Stone Cold left, and I was afraid. I was like, man, what if TNA buys WWE or AAA buy WWE? And out of the blue, Brock Lesnar came in, John Cena came in, and then John Cena, he was like the top guy. He started becoming like the modern day Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, Triple H, whatever, etc. So I just like the fact that no matter what, some people might hate him, might love him, but in my opinion, I think he saved WWE. I don't know if that makes sense,
Mm. Okay. Nah, that definitely makes sense. Pablo, where does John Cena land for you?
For me, I guess for me, he was very consistent. He was always there. No matter if the fans hated him, it was kind of like when everybody hated Roman Reigns, WWE would still go with him. And they would change the storyline, to make them hate someone else worse. And it was always consistent. But the times that he overlapped, like I know what Big Bird's saying about Kane, and I get what he's saying because when Stone Cold was there at the same time as John Cena, everybody wanted to see Stone Cold. No one cared about John Cena. When The Rock was there same time as John Cena, nobody cared about John Cena. They wanted The Rock. When The Undertaker was there, everybody wanted no one cared about John Cena. So John Cena was always there, but at the time, was he ever really like a lot of people's favorite? They were more excited for other people. They were more excited to see Triple H get beat up. But John Cena was always there. So he was like that consistent champion, bro. He was always there, and you can't take nothing. He earned everything he got. He is one of the greatest, man. I mean, maybe not the most exciting in people's minds, but definitely one of the greatest.
Okay. So we got two John Cena haters on here. Okay. So
I thought we gave him props,
okay.
bro.
Okay. All right.
We gave him props.
Okay. All right. Well, look, let's be fair about all this, man. Stone Cold, The Rock, all those guys were already well established. I mean, if we're gonna go down that route, then let's go down that route. Okay. When The Rock first came in, before he became The Rock, he was Rocky Maravilla. He came in as a baby face, and then people turned on him. Like, we don't want to see this stupid dude, man, coming out here with all these lanyards and everything. He looked like a straight weirdo, man. Stone Cold came in as the ringmaster, right? He wasn't the Stone Cold yet. He came in as the ringmaster. Nobody cared about this dude, right? So they were well established. While they were well established, that's when John Cena came in, ruthless aggression, right? And then he started turning into the Doctor of Thugonomics, but he was still barely starting to build that. So I think it's a little unfair to say, like, well, nobody cared about him because they cared about Stone. Yeah, but those guys were well established, though.
But your point though is wrong, because even this last run when The Rock came in, nobody cared about John Cena again. Everybody wanted to see The Rock. The Rock outshined him, bro. So your story just crumbled, brother.
Okay, but okay.
I get what you're saying, though. I'm just playing.
No, I'm not, and that's a fair point. But The Rock is a once in a lifetime kind of deal. John Cena was kind of that to a certain degree, but John Cena never really retired, and will make. Look, if John Cena comes back in 2 years, everybody's gonna care about it. Everybody's gonna be all invested into it. And The Rock, he never really downgraded. He left while he was on top. John Cena, we got to see him just completely battered, and it was just like, God, are we still watching the John Cena? You know what I mean? Like, this guy doesn't look good at all, man. It was almost kind of like Undertaker. Like Undertaker, if it wasn't for the dead man character, if we're gonna be real, his last few matches were just kind of like, come on, Undertaker, stop, man. No, this is just come in and do your badass entrance. Come in and do your badass entrance, man. But as far as having matches, it's like, no, Taker, no, man. But all right, so let's talk about this final run when John Cena, he went through so many years only having like one, maybe two matches a year. And he was losing a lot. He lost to Austin Theory. He lost to Solo Sikoa. Straight up. It's not like they kicked him in the balls. It's not like they did anything. They just straight up beat him at WrestleMania, by the way. Like, to me, that was the downfall of John Cena. So when I heard he's going to have his last year. I was thinking they're going to turn it around, man. They're going to turn it around. I was excited for this final year. You know, I caught John Cena when I was, I don't know, like 20 years old or something like that. But Big Bird, what were you expecting in the last year? We'll get to the actual, what actually happened, but what were you expecting when he said, this is going to be my final year, my final run, baby, we're going to get down?
Well, to be honest, I was expecting him to wrestle like The Rock and The Miz, and then for sure turning heel, which happened. And for him to, well, I was thinking like, okay, if he turns heel, I want him to wear like the NWO shirt, like bring in like new people, establish them like Austin Theory or Drew McIntyre to like to his stable. And I was expecting that, and I was expecting for him to win, a couple of titles, which he did. And what else was I was expecting for him to? I think that was a thing that I was expecting, but
Okay.
some of it didn't happen. So
Yeah, for sure. I guess that definitely would have been different had he started a faction or something like that. He would have been the OG of the faction instead of going the way it did. But we'll get to what the way it did in just a second. Pablo, when you heard John Cena, okay, this is it. This is his final year. This is his final run. What did you expect?
Man, I kind of expected what happened, bro. I kind of expected what happened, and the reason, let me tell you, and if you cover your ears if you're like afraid of facts. if this was still Vince McMahon running it, we might have got the old John Cena and seen all those matches that Big Bird talked about. But this is Shawn Michaels Triple H era, and they're into building all the new guys, all the guys that came up from the farm league. They're into building them. So, of course, John Cena had to put everyone and their mom over. So that's where we're at nowadays, bro. We're at where we're it's all about the new guys. It's all about putting them over. And yeah. And don't get me wrong. I think that's why Randy winning is a good thing. That's why Triple H changed it up, because he was going too far into putting his farm league over. All these new guys coming in and putting over the old guys, when the fans are like, hey, some of these old guys still need to win. We still want to cheer for them. And yeah.
And let's not forget Randy and Triple H. That's his homie right there. That's his boy. So, I don't want to say he's playing favorites, but if he were going to have one of the OGs still in the limelight, it was going to be Randy. I'm not saying Randy doesn't deserve it. Randy, hands down, is one of the greatest to ever lace up the boots. So I'm not saying it's being handed to him, but if Triple H had to pick one of the OGs to still be in the spotlight, it would be Randy.
Okay. I didn't know that was one of his boys, but probably so.
Well, I mean, they were in Evolution together. That's
right. I forgot about that. Good point.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and let me bring somebody in that they were in the prime years of John Cena. Okay, John Cena pandered to that little kids. Like once he got over the whole Doctor of Thugonomics, which that's what caught me. That's what caught me. I don't know, man. I was like when did John Cena start doing that? When I was like 20 or something. I don't even really remember. So that's what kind of caught me. Like, yeah, that's right, man. The Doctor of Thugonomics and everything, right? But once he changed that up and started doing the hustle, loyalty, respect, the never give up, right? It reminded me of what Hulk Hogan was to me when I was a little kid. Like, wow, like it's a real life superhero. You know what I mean? Like all superheroes were fiction characters, but this we're just completely fictional cartoons and everything. But this to Hulk Hogan, it's like, wow, like there's an actual being right there, Thunder Lips, So let me go ahead and bring in my young blood, my son from the Pick Six channel, Mr. Eric.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing good too. Can't complain.
All right. Ready to talk about this, man?
Yes,
do it.
Eric. Eric, you've been just waiting on pins and needles
Yeah.
to talk about what you found out that your whole life, your whole entire childhood was a complete lie.
It was a lie. It was a lie.
Okay. So Eric, because the rest of us are a little bit older here. Pablo's super old, but the rest of us are a little bit older. We caught John Cena, already as adults. You were in the prime years, especially when he turned into the never give up. Also, when he started pandering to the kids, you were one of those guys, man. What was John Cena to you in your childhood?
So he was like a top guy when I was like, what? Since I really started watching wrestling. So I'm 21 years old, started watching wrestling since I was like 3. At that time, he was already really the top guy. So I really looked up to the guy, and obviously the stuff, the speeches, the promos he would give out. I would look up to that and stuff like that. So, I mean, he actually had a pretty big influence in my childhood.
Let's now fast forward to the year. Okay, well, actually, Eric, I'll ask but I asked them, I'll ask you, and then we'll pick up from there. When you heard it was John Cena's final year, before it happened, what were you expecting?
I was kind of expecting what happened, not necessarily the run, but I was expecting him to win number 17 and maybe get that IC title. That's what I was expecting. Maybe not the way that it happened, but I was excited for it when it first got announced, for sure. And I was thinking that he was going to be there probably the whole year, but I mean, other things kind of happened, so yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's get to the heel turn, man. Okay, so you have The Rock come out. I was a big fan of the Brahma Bull. At that time, when it was Stone Cold at the top, I was a Stone Cold fan, but I was a Rock fan more than Stone Cold, right? Just like I was a little bit more of the Ultimate Warrior than Hulk Hogan for a certain period of time. Big Bird, what did you think about the heel turn at Elimination Chamber, which this is the 1-year anniversary, basically, in a few hours? It's a 1-year anniversary of the heel turn where Cody Rhodes told The Rock to go F himself, and John Cena goes ahead, kicks him in the balls. And what's take us through that, Big Bird. When you saw that happen, man?
No, well, when that happened, like, I got excited and I was happy because I like stuff like this in WWE. Whenever they swerve us or hit us with a curveball and then you like excited, like, wow, what's gonna happen, like, on Raw and so on and so forward. When Raw came, I think he came out there and he started saying that the reason he turned heel. And I was happy, and I was thinking, like, you know what? I think he might bring the Dr. Thugonomics character back, but he didn't, So that was a letdown. And like I say, I was expecting for him maybe to be like the new NWO. He didn't, so that was a letdown too. So, I mean, at the beginning, it was kind of cool, when it happened, but but everything went downhill. Like, it wasn't. It was quick, it happened fast.
Okay.
And then he just turned face again. So I don't know what was that all about, I wish he could have had 2 years, 2 years to retire.
Okay.
And maybe the first year, like, at the beginning, be like a face and then a heel, and then come back and turn, like, maybe help somebody out at the Royal Rumble, somebody getting jumped or something. And then people are like, he's looking at the crowd and he's like, wow, what should I do, And then he helps out the face, and that's when the people start cheering, and that's how he turned face. But yeah, I wasn't, like I said, I was happy at the beginning, but then it was a waste, to be honest.
Okay. Pablo, when you saw him turn heel, we'll get to the run, Pablo, but just the heel turn, what was your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was
Okay.
pretty cool, but right away I get analytical, and let me explain by this. Follow me. So when you got a bunch of these podcasts by WWE wrestlers, right? That are still connected, still on Legends contracts. Okay, they're still on the Legend contracts with the WWE, so they're gonna spew the propaganda. So when it happened, and what they were saying, oh, this is the biggest of all time, the biggest heel upset. This is bigger than Hulk Hogan turning, and now all the, and then all the podcasts for the people who are still a part, who work for the WWE are saying those exact lines. I was like, dude, this is propaganda, dude. This is not bigger than that. And the following, what happened was just the proof of that. It was 6 months of horrible storyline, bro. And they had to Swift, they had to change, bro. And they had to go the way that everybody wanted. We should have had a year of John Cena kicking butt, man, taking a title. We should have seen him dominate, man, because he was so good. If you look at his old matches, bro, he could wrestle, bro. So yeah, man, I was excited and ultimately let down. Especially, I know we'll get into it, especially the end match.
Oh, we got a lot to say about that, man. All right. Eric, you and I were actually watching the Chamber together, man. And we saw it. And I remember before he actually turned heel, Eric, I was like, is John Cena turning heel? Look at the way he's circling around them. And you're like, it looks like he probably can. Okay. and then, Eric, and then it happened. What was your initial thoughts?
Okay, at that very second, I think my jaw dropped. Okay. I was shocked, but then I was like, when I actually started thinking about it, I was excited because I was thinking it's going to be something fresh, something new. And the fact that he was supposed to have The Rock with him, I mean, that was going to make things 10 times better.
Exactly.
The possibilities that were running through my mind, what they could have done with John Cena and The Rock, if The Rock was there, was like, maybe John Cena doesn't even have to talk. Maybe The Rock could talk for him, stuff like that. I was throwing a whole bunch of stuff out there. I was even sending you some stuff, man. I was excited, man. There was a lot that they could have done with this heel turn, but I thought they just did it for what's the right word for it? I don't know, just for a moment. That's what it seems like. Out of this whole run, I feel like they just did it for a moment, and it kind of failed, man.
Facts.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm about to piss everybody off. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Eric, because I feel like WWE, they just go in blind, like they just like, oh, what if we do this? What if we do that? Like they say they plan ahead, but I don't think they do that,
They wanted the viral moment. That's the word I was looking for. They wanted the viral moment in that situation.
Yeah, and like Road Dogg, right? Like he like, oh, then Triple A asked him, then what should we do next with Chelsea? And he'd be like, oh, I don't know, she should wrestle like that one wrestling girl and so on and so forward. They're like clueless. Like I wish I worked for WWE, man.
Yeah,
I'll make them billions of dollars.
Hey, Cholo, before you go on, I just want to ask a question. I really don't know the answer to this. Your son brought up a good point. Everybody thought it was going to be John Cena and The Rock. Do we know why The Rock didn't stay involved in the storyline? Do we know, like, as it ever came out?
Oh yeah.
From what I understand, him and Triple H don't get along. From what I understand, they got beef with each other, and The Rock just said, like, you know what, screw this then. I'm not gonna be involved, man, if I'm just gonna be getting a lot of pushback. Now I think The Rock is a little bit above Triple H, but apparently they both bump heads. Big Bird, what have you heard?
Oh no, I was gonna say that. Remember, they were saying that I think that Elimination Chamber wasn't really selling tickets,
Right?
And then they were kissing The Rock's ass to like just show up, and The Rock was like, "All right, F it, I'm gonna show up and just this one time to make you all a favor," and that's what he did, Which to be honest, I love The Rock. He's a Hall of Famer for sure, cemented in history as one of the greatest. But he don't have to do all that, you know. The Rock, and yeah, he is above Triple H, but you're right. They don't get along, you know. In real life, it's like East versus West, not just like.
All right, let me go ahead and ruffle some feathers here, man.
Ooh.
I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm going to say. Hang on, let me set myself right here. Okay, okay. Because the whole comparison was going on when Hogan turned heel and when Cena turned heel. Let me tell everybody something right now. I am not talking about the heel run. Forget about the heel run. Just that day and that day alone. That is it. Just that day. Cena's heel turn was bigger than Hogan's heel turn. Let me explain why. Let me explain why. I heard what you said, Pablo. I heard what you said, that all these guys were still under WWE legend contracts and stuff, right? And this propaganda. I mean, they spiced it up a little bit too much, okay? But here's why, okay? One is Hogan was already, his character was already somewhat dying out. His character, the picture that you have of him up right now, that character wasn't really bleeding that well into the mid 90s. That was more of the 80s. He was huge. He was huge with that character in the 80s, early 90s. It was still there. It was still big. It was still huge. But once it was time for him to turn, man, he turned at the right time. Second of all, WCW at that time, WCW was the B show at that time. This is before the whole 83 week or 84 weeks, whatever it was, that NWO came and started taking over. Okay. So it's almost kind of like if John Cena were to turn heel at AEW. Now, to be fair, WCW was bigger than AEW, but nonetheless, there was no doubt about it that at that time when that happened, WCW was 100% the B show. So to me, the heel turn was bigger when John Cena turned heel. Now, the heel run, which is what we're going to get into now, the heel run, hands down, there is zero comparison. There is no argument. The Hogan heel run changed wrestling when he started the NWO. I mean, that WCW did not beat WWF. NWO beat WWF. It doesn't even come close. So I think people, they weigh both things together when I'm just thinking about just the heel turn itself. John Cena's heel turn was bigger on a bigger stage, bigger platform, and at a PLE with a much bigger star like The Rock. Where Hogan's heel turn, it was on a B show. Guys were tuning into it because Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were there, right? But it was a little bit lower. I'm not saying it wasn't big. It was definitely big. But the heel run, the run after that, dog, night and day. It's no comparison. Hogan and his heel run changed wrestling from moving forward from then on. Let's talk about Cena's. Well, actually, Pablo, you want to respond to what I said, dog?
Hey, but you know what? WCW had a real person writing the show, Eric Bischoff, bro. They didn't have a cheesy guy like Triple H, bro. I'm just messing, bro. I'm just kicking up dust. Nah, I don't have nothing. That's cool. I agree.
Okay, let's talk about the run. Let's talk about the run itself, man. I'll start with this. Look, the fact that you had the final boss in there, the Rock and everything, the heel turn and everything. I never liked that. When I say never, I just found out who he was because of Elimination Chamber. That punk ass rapper, Eric, what's his name? Fiend.
Oh, I don't want to hear that song. But Travis Scott, man, we heard that song way too much at WrestleMania, man.
Okay, yeah. Travis Scott. The fact that he was there, dog. If I were Cody Rhodes, homie, I would have put hands on that dude backstage. He busted his eardrum.
Yep.
Okay, the thing that pisses me off about this, right, is like, oh, he's not trained. You don't need to be trained to know that if you smack a dude right in the ear, you could bust his eardrum. Oh, dog, I would have caught that dude backstage. I would have caught him backstage like, hey, I wasn't trained. Oh, I'm not trained for this either. I was smacked him right across his face, dog. Okay. I don't know why that dude was involved, but this heel run with John Cena completely ruined everything. Everything in his career, all the accolades that he like. The last thoughts that I have about John Cena, which is one of the greatest, biggest stars, maybe the biggest star to ever do it, is ruined, man. Now he already was on a losing streak. He already was like, which was pathetic to me. What I expected from John Cena was the vintage John Cena. When he turned heel, he should have gone with the Doctor of Thugonomics, come out as a bad guy, have the older people like him, right? Like, oh yeah, he's a badass now, right? The Doctor of Thugonomics, man, and the kids kind of hate him. And then later on, he could turn back to a baby face. But the guy just the whole storyline, The Rock ruined it. This Travis Scott guy that just disappeared, which is I'm kind of glad, but it made no sense. There was no direction. This heel run was the worst thing that they could have done. He comes out with zero music, nothing out there. He said he wants to ruin wrestling, and in a way he kind of did. But Big Bird, what's your thoughts about the heel run itself?
No, I agree with you. You know, like I hate it when this Travis Scott guy was involved because I'm like, man, I just want to watch wrestling. You know, like what is this guy doing in John Cena last tour? I feel like maybe like I might be wrong, but I feel like maybe some of the like actors and singers and rappers, I think they pay money to be in WWE. So WWE they in debt, so they take whatever money comes, you know. But I didn't like I said at the beginning, you know, I like when it happened. I was excited, I was happy, I was cheering, and then I had so many things in mind, like, you know what, it's gonna be a good heel run. And then the fact that he didn't turn into the Thugonomics, like, oh man, like what a waste, you know. He should at least be that character, you know.
It would have been really good. I thought he would have got the nostalgia of the older guys like us, like, heck yeah, this is cool. Even though he's doing dirty stuff to win and everything, I think he could have, it would have been so conflicted with kids and the older guys like, yeah, heck yeah, man. And the younger kids like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're over there, preaching about positivity and loyalty, hustle, respect, and you're over there kicking dudes in the balls to win and cheating and all this stuff, right? And I think it could have came back around to when he turned back in to the hustle, loyalty, respect scene to win back over the kids and everything. Gosh darn it, Pablo. What's your thoughts about the heel run, the whole Rock, the Travis Scott, him not coming out to music, just all the WrestleMania win, his matches that he was having, winning by hitting him with the belt, which was so gosh awful, dog.
Yeah, man. For Travis Scott, man, that was one of the worst things I ever seen. But I don't know if you remember WrestleMania 1. See, I'm an old buck. I'm an old head. So Mr. T kind of like came out and he took it too real. He didn't realize that it's a work. Well, he did, but he tried to overplay it. That's why Roddy Piper had to throw him around and body slam him, and the boys in the back wanted him to make sure that Mr. T wanted to make Piper look bad, but Piper wasn't going to make it. Wasn't going to let that happen. Well, the opposite happened, and he should have got some payback by Cody Rhodes. But anyways, yeah, the last couple of months of the heel run, the first couple of months were just horrid, man. What are you going to say? We've already said it. It was just none of us are happy with this run. They could have did so much, like was said. The Rock, what they could have did with The Rock right there. The Rock is on the board. I'm not sure if he's the chairman, but he's one of them. He's on the board. He could have came a couple of times and once a month and made it exciting, bro. So we watched every week hoping for something special with Cena, and we got let down every time. And he lost to everyone, bro. Lost to everyone. It's just pathetic.
Eric, you've seen WrestleMania 1, haven't you?
You might have shown it to me at some point, I think.
Yeah, yeah, man. Mr. T in there. I think that's why they have a boxing match at some point. Roddy Piper.
Yes, that's when Piper
Yeah,
that's when
I
Piper
think that's
beat him up.
WrestleMania too.
Yeah,
Piper beat him up.
yeah. WrestleMania 2, Roddy Piper and Mr. T threw down in a boxing match, man. Because in WrestleMania 1, it was a tag team match, and yeah, they definitely didn't like each other. All right, so Eric, the whole Travis Scott thing, and just the last matches, and just the way Cena was winning, the shots with the belt to the head, it was like so unimpactful. I was like, you really want me to believe that you knocked somebody out, man, but you just don't, like you just barely tapped them in the head with the belt? Like, come on, man. Eric, the last matches that he had in that year and just everything, man. What's your thoughts on all that?
Well, first off, they had to do that little title thing because everybody was getting out of the attitude adjustment. I mean, they put that wasn't even a finisher anymore. That everybody was just kicking out of that, so it had like no strength to it, no power to it anymore because they kind of, I don't know, everybody was just kicking out of that. The whole Travis Scott thing, I understand having celebrities or whatever in WWE because it can grow the product, right? Why is he in the biggest heel turn ever? Why is he involved in that though? That's like the most important thing ever, and you're gonna have a celebrity, a guy with no experience in the ring. Like that makes no sense in that whole Travis Scott situation. So I don't even know why he was even there to begin with. The heel turn, the thing that I mean, his inactivity on the road to WrestleMania affected it as well. They didn't really have too much time to build the Cody and Cena match. I don't think they had enough time to do that because after Elimination Chamber, he was gone for 2-3 weeks.
Mm.
He had a little bit of a hiatus, I remember, and he wanted to do the full year too. Okay, throwing that out there as well. He wanted to do the whole year. The one thing that bothers me the most is the fact that he lost to Brock Lesnar. Not that he lost to Brock Lesnar, but that he got squashed by Brock Lesnar. That and his last match are the two things that bother me the most. Okay, the storylines were terrible throughout this entire thing. I mean, they just randomly threw in an AJ Styles and John Cena match just because they had history with each other. There was no storyline to that match other than, oh yeah, these guys are old rivals. Great rivalry, by the way. But there was no storyline to that. They were just throwing in random names, Not to say that wasn't a good match. That was a really good match, but none of it made sense to me, man. And it was a very disappointing retirement year.
One of the best matches that John Cena ever had was against AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. I forget what year it was, but gosh, it was so great. I remember JBL saying 2017. I remember JBL praising it so much. He said, because they never left the ring. They kept the whole match in the ring. They never left the ring. It was such a great match. Yeah, look, when you get celebrities involved, I don't have that big of an issue with it as long as it's done right. And by the way, some celebrities have actually had some pretty damn good matches. Bad Bunny, I'm not like a big fan of his. I don't listen to his music, but that dude, he had some pretty good matches in the WWE. I remember Lawrence Taylor when he got down with Bam Bam Bigelow years ago. I think that was WrestleMania 11 or something like that. Logan Paul, who I don't think he's considered a celebrity anymore. He's now a full-timer. So, but at some point he was a celebrity guy, and that guy can throw down. So I'm not that against freaking Jelly Roll. Gosh, he lost weight and did a decent. The guy from Jackass, that was a funny match that he had with
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, the big hand that comes on. It was funny, man. So yeah, I don't really mind it too much. But this Travis Scott dude, you involved him. I'm with you, Eric. You involved him in one of the biggest viral moments in wrestling history, and for What? There was no outcome. Apparently, he was supposed to wrestle. He was supposed to get in the ring, but he wasn't taking it seriously. He takes off. The Rock comes out and says, like, hey, you know what? The time for the final boss is over. How, Rock? How is it over? How is it over, Rock? How did you end it? How did you put a bow tie on it, Rock? See, I was a fan of The Rock. To me, The Rock was my favorite wrestler at that time when he was throwing down. How did you end it, Rock? What did you do? You just completely walked away. And when you walked away, it's not like you said, like, hey, I'm done, and you walked away. We didn't even get to see you do that. We saw you on some punk-ass interview. Okay, I forgot who was interviewing you. And you just said, like, wow, you know, I just told the boys that I think the time for the final boss is done. How so? You come and you make a huge impact in this storyline, and then you just decide you're not going to show up anymore. You ruined it. See, I don't know if this is really on Cena. Cena does have power. He should be stepping in and say, like, hey, I'm down with this. I'm not down with that. But if he's got the backing of The Rock and says, like, okay, look, I'll be a part of this. But then The Rock just steps away. And then he's got the heel turn. And then he goes babyface. And then when he goes babyface, he says, like, well, you know, now I know that these guys, you know, they're not behind me. It was just as pathetic as it can be.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
It was gosh awful, dog. Gosh awful. The loss to Brock Lesnar, it was.
You know what makes things worse? The fact that right after he turns heel is when he starts losing again. Right after he turns face again, that's when he starts to lose again.
Right.
That's what makes it a little bit worse.
Right, because as a babyface, he can't kick you in the balls anymore. That's only a heel move, right? So, all right. So let's get to the final match, dog.
Hey, just really quick. Whenever you see The Rock come back, watch close the way he walks. Even when he was involved with the tribal chief at the end, when that whole thing was going with Cody, watch him when he walks. He has a slight limp, bro. I wonder if there's something we don't know about his legs or his joints or his hip or something. Just kind of watch and you'll see a slight limp. So I wonder if that's the reason he's not really wrestling around.
That's because he's a PIMP. No, I'm just
He's a pimp. Look, I know this isn't about The Rock. I know it's not about The Rock. We will never get the tribal. That storyline with the tribal chief and The Rock was so damn good, and it never paid off. It was
one day we need to talk. We need to talk about that subject because I think they're not doing Roman Reigns right. Even though he only comes like once a month, they could be doing they could bring back the tribal chief or something with that storyline because something's needed.
Well, look, with all this, right? And the only reason why I bring that up is because as much as I was a fan of The Rock, this is the second thing he ruined, right? Him deciding just to step away without without making sense of it all. That it's not the fact that he walked away. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to walk away. So I'm going to show up one more night, cut some sort of promo, something that's going to put like a little bow tie, right? Even if though we can extend this, I'm going to choose not to for whatever reason, but let me show up one more night. Let me cut a promo. Let something happen. This whole sell your soul. It was just like left as a cliffhanger. Okay. This is the second thing that he ruined. This, and then one of the greatest storylines in wrestling history with him and the tribal chief. Like, hey, should I sit at the bar? Should I sit at a booth? Or should I sit at the head of the table? Right? Like it was, and it never happened. There was no payoff, man. It was
going to happen in Saudi.
Could it be though? This is my guess on that. Could it be that in wrestling when you go out you put people over? That The Rock is not going to put over the tribal chief, and The Rock is not going to put over John Cena. He just wants to go out on top.
Well, Pablo, he already did, right? He beat John Cena at one WrestleMania, and then the very next WrestleMania, he lost to John Cena. So I get what you're saying, Pablo. The Rock today, is he really going to take a 3 count on somebody? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, you can have him win by cheating. He's a heel. He's the final boss. He's telling referees, if you count me out, I'll fire you, or something like that, right? In that most predictable main event, night 1 at WrestleMania tag team match. So let's get to the final match. Okay, so it's against Gunther, Saturday night's main event. Gunther is I'm not the biggest fan of Gunther, right? I think he's all right. Big Bird, you're a fan of his, man.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Okay. Did you think this was the right match for John Cena, knowing that this was his final match? Before the match happened, we'll get to the match, but before the match even happened, were you happy with Gunther versus John Cena? This is the match that I want to see for his final match.
Well, to be honest, I wanted to see John Cena versus The Rock, like for some reason I was thinking like, you know what, The Rock's gonna come back as the final boss, and then he's gonna tell John Cena, like, damn, what are you doing? Like, you're soft. Why did you turn face? Like now it's time for me to whoop that candy ass all over if you smell,
Yeah.
And then and then the fact that there was rumors and leak online that it was gonna be the final match, that kind of ruined it for me. Like, like, okay, so it's basically when you're about to die and then you're like, well, I accept my destiny, like what can I do? Like, I'm just gonna watch this match, like I wasn't excited, but like what can we do, like, and then I wish he could have just wrestled maybe The Rock or somebody else, for his final match. Maybe put somebody over, like Austin Theory or somebody new,
You know what? Let me throw this in there. Is beating John Cena, is it really putting somebody over though? I mean, John Cena lost a lot, man. He lost before his final year. He lost to Austin Theory at WrestleMania. He lost to Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania. Straight up. It's not like they hit him with a chair. It's not like they low blow. He lost a lot leading up to his final year. So, I mean, is it really putting somebody over?
No, you're right. You're right. Because he was losing, so I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Maybe the fact that the last person that would have beat him, he could have like bragged about it, or have that in their arsenal. Like, hey, you know what? I'm the guy. Like the guy that wrestled John Cena his last match. Just have that in the resume. Like, what would have been cool? Like, I'm kind of getting behind Obafemi. Like, I wish he could have been, like in the main roster, like last year, and maybe I think it would have been like a badass last match for John Cena. It's like just this big dude, and John Cena cannot beat him. Like, throughout the match, and then maybe had John Cena win. And at the end shake hands, and then just go into the sunset.
I am becoming a fan of Obafemi. All right, Pablo, when you heard that it was Gunther going into the match, we'll get to the match itself, but just the match, that was going to be it for him. Were you happy with it, or did you want somebody else?
No. Heck no. Triple H's boy right there. If anybody's Triple H's boy, that's the number one, bro. That's Shawn Michaels' boy. That's Triple H's boy. And what have we happened there? Next was AJ Styles. AJ Styles got lost to him. And then, you know what they're talking about now? Rey Mysterio losing to him.
In his
if
final
Rey Mysterio has to lose to his son, check out that toy. That's dope. Rey Mysterio has to lose to Dominic. Bro, can you believe they're even saying that? Dude, the guy is 38 years old. No one buys tickets to see Gunther. No one buys tickets to see Gunther. We buy tickets to see the Tribal Chief, to see Cena, to see Rhea, to
Cody
see
Rhodes.
Charlotte. All these people, we don't buy tickets to see Gunther. Why are they investing so much in him? Because he's his boy. So I hated it.
Okay, yeah. For those who don't know, rumor is that at WrestleMania it's going to be Gunther versus Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio is going to retire with that match. So that's why they're doing the whole. They just had Gunther unmask. What's his face?
Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee. He just beat down Dragon Lee and ripped the mask off, which, good gosh, dog. I mean, everybody should be up in arms about that, man. Hopefully Gunther never finds himself in Mexico because they'll stone him out there.
Hey, that was a good match, by the way.
It was a really good match. But he unmasked Dragon Lee, dog. If Gunther ever finds himself south of the border, he better have a lot of security with him, man. Eric, knowing that it was going to be Gunther versus John Cena in his final match, Eric, were you happy with that, or did you want to see somebody different? And John Cena had lost his previous match to Dirty Dom before that.
Yeah. No, I wasn't happy. It made no sense to me. And again, there was no sort of storyline there at all. I mean, I know they had that tournament, whatever, but they never really, I don't think they saw each other face to face, right? And could have promo face to face during that time, did they? I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. I'm not sure. If they did, maybe just once. But yeah, no, because John Cena wasn't available. He only had like 2 or 3 dates. So they had to use them very wisely.
Yeah. He wanted to do the whole year, but they decided not to have him the whole year. Then they're trying to make Gunther the Legend Killer at 38? He's 38, right? He's pushing 40. He's pushing 40.
Yeah, he's 38.
It worked with Randy Orton because he was young. Gunther's almost 40 years old, and they're trying to make him the Legend Killer.
Right.
Like, he's going to be retiring in a few years too. He doesn't have that many years ahead of him. There's no way.
I think he's going to retire himself.
He's going to retire himself.
He's going to choke himself out and tap out.
Do the splash on himself.
Sense.
Hey, what about hey Cholo? What about his splash? Ain't that beautiful, huh?
Oh, the splash from the top. Good gosh, man. Look, it definitely worked with Randy Orton. He was the youngest champion, 24 years old. Yes, it definitely worked with him. I remember he even RKO'd Mae Young. He's all like, "Good to meet you, Randy Orton, Legend Killer." Pow! He was just taking out all the legends. It was good. Yeah, it makes zero sense. I mean, they're not labeling Gunther the Legend Killer, but I mean, come on, he's retired Goldberg, he's retired John Cena, he's retired AJ Styles. Word is that he's a retired Rey Mysterio, which that shouldn't be happening. If Rey Mysterio's final match should be against his son.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100% should be against his son. So he's looks like he might retire Rey Mysterio. Yeah, look. I didn't like the final match. Eric, you didn't give us who would you have rather seen John Cena in there with for his final match?
AJ Styles. If they knew that he was gonna on his way out anyways, that should have been both of their last matches, and they could have built on top of that. Again, they have history with each other. They could have saved that match for last. I think that would have been the perfect way to end. Nobody's really putting anybody over. It's just kind of whoever wins. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I think that would have been better opposed to Gunther at least. Or they could have just got some younger talent. So it was pretty easy to.
AJ Styles ends up retiring about just a little under 2 months after John Cena does. So I know the whole focus was on John Cena's final match, but if they would have built that correctly, I think maybe we could have done something with that. Like, hey, this is both of their last match.
You know what they
I
could
mean?
have done?
What's that?
they could have said, okay, yeah, this is John Cena's last match. If AJ Styles loses, he has to retire. Something like that. I don't know. Kind of like what they did with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Could have done something like that.
Okay. Me personally, to me, I was like, okay, they're gonna set this right. They're gonna set this right. I'm with you, Big Bird. Against The Rock, it would have been good if The Rock came back like a month early, and then they would start some sort of program right there. But they didn't. So I was thinking, like, okay, what happened with Brock Lesnar? They're gonna make this right, because that was such a stupid match. Right? You go and you squash John Cena with Brock Lesnar, which for whatever stupid reason they did that. I was thinking, like, okay, you know how that's not going to be dumb? If that's John Cena's final match and John Cena wins. To me, I'm like, okay, now they're going to make something out of this. Okay. Brock Lesnar is going to just be like, choking him out or something. And Johnson, we're going to see the old John Cena, like, in pain, maybe a little blood on him or something. And John Cena is going to defeat the beast incarnate, right? They didn't do that. Instead, they go with Gunther. And I'm like, okay, I'm already not a fan of Gunther. And then the rumor was out there that, oh, you know what? Look, man, the plan is to make John Cena tap. I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. No, they're not going to do that. So let's actually get to the finish of the match. Big Bird, talk to me about the match itself. Did you like the match itself? And then the ending.
Well, I give that match maybe like a 7. So it's, it was intense. It wasn't great or it wasn't good. It was mid. It was intense though, like I said. And there was times that I thought that John Cena was really gonna win. I was like, oh shit, you know what? They're gonna hit us with a swerve. But I didn't like the ending. I think he should have went out like AJ Styles did. Like just faint. And they pick up the hand 1, 2, and then 3, and at the referee ring the bell. But I didn't like the ending. The way he tapped out. Like, come on, man. Like, it was a slap to like all the little kids, all the people that grew up watching them, to never give up. And I was like, damn, now so it's okay to give up? Like, nah, man, Charles, this a cholo trucker.
Okay, so Big Bird, you would have been okay with him losing. You're just not cool with the way he lost. You're not cool with the tap out.
Yeah, I wasn't cool with the tap out, I mean, how can I put it this way? Like, I wish he would have won, don't get me wrong, but I was okay for him to lose too, because it's like, okay, it's like remember that match between Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair?
Oh yeah.
That Shawn Michaels, he's doing like, like he's about to do the super kick, and then he tells them, I'm sorry, like, I love you. It's like basically, when your dog is sick and then you have to take him to the back with a shotgun and kind of put him out of his misery. So I feel like okay, John Cena, he's old, and then so basically, they're gonna put him out of his misery, and then his soul's gonna leave his body, and then you sometimes when you watch wrestling or a movie or something, like, you have to be open-minded, but I didn't like the fact that he tapped out like that, like como dice Gunter, like a little bitch,
He tapped out like a little bitch.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. Pablo, how was the match for you? And talk to me about the ending. Did John Cena have to win in your mind?
The match was kind of mid, kind of ended kind of quickly. I thought it was going to go on for a little bit, but when he tapped, I think a lot of people were expecting him to lose. Most people were expecting him to lose, but the fact that he tapped is the problem everyone had. It's the problem I had, that he tapped out. And then he did it with a smile, whatever. That's kind of like, hey, I'm going out my way, whatever. And it's over and all that. And the fan reaction was very violent, man. They did not like it, and everybody thought that when Gunther came out, they were booing him. They were not booing him so much. They were booing Triple H. So it was interesting, that Triple H tried to play it off like they're booing the storyline, but they were booing him. So it was very, very, as you could see, I'm not a Triple H fan right now, but he's one of the greats. But it was. I think we all expected him to lose.
Yeah. Triple H, one of the greatest heels ever.
By far.
Yeah.
But amen to that.
Yeah. When he was in the ring, but gosh, man, what he did with this was gosh awful. Okay, Eric.
Yes, real quick before we go on, I'm going to throw this just out there.
Yeah.
Rumor: Vince McMahon is working with Saudi people to buy the WWE. So just to throw that in that'd be kind of interesting. But now new charges are coming against Vince, I heard too. So take that with a grain of salt.
Hey, Pablo, I have a question for you. So how was Gorgeous George? When you saw him live when you were a kid.
Oh. Hey, you know what, bro? You know what? I started seeing I started going to wrestling in 1977.
Oh wow! So you saw
I was only like 6, so I started going at the Olympic Auditorium, and that's where I started seeing Hulk Hogan and all these guys, the Guerreros, everybody, Piper, before they all got famous.
Yeah, I think they have WrestleMania 2 right here, right in LA, like right there at the.
Oh, I don't know.
At the sports arena.
They had WrestleMania 2 in different places. I think it was like 3 different places.
That's where you watch it at different places on the screen sometimes too, huh?
Yeah. And they said they'll never do that again. They played with that, and they said, you know what? It was too much of a headache. We're never going to do that again. So, Eric, you saw your childhood hero.
He tapped out like a little bitch.
All right, Eric. Talk to us, Eric. Talk to us about the match. We watched it together. You came over here, man.
Yeah.
We watched it. Talk to us, man.
All right. Well, I don't think I've really even talked about this that much. So,
it was too painful. It was too painful. You're holding it in, Eric. It was too painful for you.
The match itself, I had low expectations to begin with because I didn't think Gunther and John Cena late into his career mixed very well to begin with. So I wasn't having high expectations. It matched my expectations, but that's because my expectations were kind of low. The only thing that was exciting about the match was, is John Cena actually going to tap? That's really the only thing that kept me on the edge of my seat, really, that entire match. That was about it. Because everything else was just kind of, then you have the Gunther splashes. It did look like John Cena was going to win at times, but I think we all knew that he was going to lose. Then he taps out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pissed. I was not happy about that at all. And I was holding it in. You know I was holding it in. I was trying to keep my composure at the time, and I think I did pretty well. It made no sense to have him tap out. Absolutely no sense, because his whole career, I guess, even when he was a heel during the retirement, he didn't tap out. I think the last guy that made him tap out was Kurt Angle to that point, and that was years ago. I don't even know if I was even born yet. So why would you have him tap out? Like, it makes no sense. And what does it even do for Gunther? Because he already had heat to begin with. So what did it even do for Gunther? It just made zero sense to me, man, to have him tap out like that. And for him to go out like that made absolutely no sense. I don't know. And I had to go for a walk after that.
Me too, man. To be honest, I didn't got emotional because he tapped out, but I just got emotional just the fact that, wow, like The crowd was intense. You could cut it with a knife. And then it was. I know the match was mid, but it was so emotional. Everything was
Yeah.
emotional. Damn, man.
They were trying to celebrate John Cena like right after the match, and the crowd just wasn't having it, man. They just weren't having it. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes comes in and gives John Cena the title, and it was tough. It took a while for the crowd to kind of settle down to say like, okay, you know what, we're just paying respects to John Cena. But I don't think they ever got 100% of the crowd behind it. It took a while for them to get behind it. Eric, would you have been okay with John Cena actually losing the match, just not tapping out?
Yeah, again, I think my main problem was who it was that retired him.
Okay.
Not so much that he lost. It's really that who retired him and the fact that he had to give up. And I've seen people, say that, oh, he didn't give up, he let go. Nah, man, he gave up. All right. I don't care. I don't want to hear all that. He gave up. All right. Yeah. That's giving up. I don't care, man. So yeah, that was really my main problem with the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Look, man. I would have been, to be honest with you guys, man, I would have been okay if Dirty Dom was his last match, because people don't bring it up, but Dirty Dom was the second to last match for John Cena. John Cena lost the Intercontinental Championship back to Dirty Dom, and then he loses to Gunther, right? So I actually would have been okay, because the Intercontinental title was a big deal to John Cena, because John Cena had never won that strap, right? So I would have been okay had that been John Cena's final match and he loses to Dirty Dom. At least it's an up-and-coming kid who's got some heat behind him, who has some star power, who people actually do care about, right? I would have been okay with that. The fact that it was Gunther, not a fan of it. If you had to lose, I'm like, okay, fine, have him lose, but you're going to have him tap. Like, that was so stupid. It was as erroneous as it gets, man, that you're going to have him tap. And the fact, I'll tell you guys this, the fact that everybody was believing that John Cena was going to lose, I thought it would have been great to have him win, because it would have been like, oh, wow, he actually won. He won, because everybody was already expecting him to lose. But instead, he loses and he taps out.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
He taps, man. It was just gosh awful. We went out for that walk afterwards, Eric, and it was over. Until then, we haven't seen. All right. Okay. So the run was terrible. It was as terrible as it can be. The way he loses was as terrible as it can be. Okay. When do we see John Cena come back? Obviously, he's done wrestling. He made it clear that he is done wrestling. Do we see him come back? Do we see him get in the middle of the ring? Do we see him cut a promo? Do we see him address the crowd? And what should he say? Do the fans cheer him? Do the fans boo him, Big Bird?
No, I think from now on he's always gonna get cheered no matter what.
Okay.
It's like let's say for example, when Stone Cold popped out last year, he's already old. You could see it, and it's like wow, like but you love him, no matter what. Like you're gonna cheer him. I think I remember one time that they interviewed Hulk Hogan. May he rest in peace. He told the story that Vince told them, hey man, even if you go down the ring in a wheelchair, they're still gonna cheer you. And it's true. I mean, unfortunately last time we boo him, but I was there, but I think he's gonna get cheered, John Cena. He's already cemented as a legend and in history and wrestling. And I think he'll come back probably just for the Hall of Fame next year. Or maybe, who knows, maybe maybe he'd be like, hey, you know what? I want to get involved in WWE. Maybe I want to be somebody's manager. Just go with them to the ring and then maybe talk here and there, but not physically or nothing like that.
I wonder if the Saudis could make him come out of retirement, because the Saudis, man, they pay big bucks to bring, guys out of retirement. They brought Shawn Michaels to come out of retirement, where everybody tries to forget about that, right? Because it was such a horrible match. But they, put the money out to get him out of retirement. Pablo, John Cena, do we see him again? Not just wrestling, but I'm just saying, like, he comes back and he addresses the crowd or says what's up or something. And how does the crowd receive him?
Oh man, they're gonna cheer him. They're gonna cheer him because the smile he went out on, we don't like it, but we don't really blame him. Although that might have been his call, we blame other people, right? But I think we'll see him maybe at Mania, and I think we'll see him here and there, maybe as a guest referee and stuff like that when the WWE needs to sell tickets. John Cena is going to be here as a special guest ref. He'll come in for stuff like that, but he won't wrestle, I believe. That's what I think.
Okay. Eric, does John Cena, when do we see him come back? Does he come back from Mania and just kind of get in the ring and just cut a promo or talk to a crowd or address the crowd? Do we ever see him wrestle again? Do the Saudis bring him out? I don't think they will, but what's your thoughts on all that, Eric?
Nah, man, I think he's making enough money acting and stuff like that. He's got a lot of roles. Maybe not now. I think it's gonna take some time for him to actually come back. He definitely has a busy schedule and stuff like that. Not that he doesn't want to come back, but I think it's gonna take some time, at least maybe a year.
Yeah, I think he should cool off for a little bit. I think let some time go on and maybe come back at next year's WrestleMania. That's what I would think. That go do everything else. Try to let people forget about all this, because this was as terrible of a job as they can do for his final run, and the fact that it was addressed, right? Like, a lot of wrestlers don't get to say, like, hey, this is my final year. He got to do that, and it was like the worst ever. So I'm just kind of like, gosh, Cena, go do other things, man, and come back at next year's WrestleMania, man. Hopefully all this stuff, hopefully it all blows over. But so with all that, Big Bird, where does John Cena, I know I asked this in the beginning, but if we're just talking about big stars, I'm not talking about your personal favorites. I'm just talking about big stars in wrestling of all time. Where do you put them?
Like rank them, or just
Where do you put John Cena as just the biggest stars in wrestling? Like, he was never, for example, like, he was never the best wrestler, but his star power, AJ Styles is definitely hands down a much better wrestler than John Cena ever was. But he's not he's a star, but John Cena is like a superstar. Where do you put him, his popularity wise?
Well, first I will definitely put Hulk Hogan because of him. Like, WWF, which is WWE now, became what it is, and then The Rock and Stone Cold, I put them second because it was lightning in the bottle, if you will, and then I put John Cena after, like maybe third, because if you talk about wrestling and WWE entertainment and wrestling and stuff like that, I think about people will think about John Cena. Even if people don't watch wrestling or whatever, and you say John Cena, they'll be like, oh, the wrestler, because, he was a guy that sold, a lot of merchandise and was there, and he was like the modern day Hulk Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably put him like 4 or something. like in the Rushmore, you know, in the mountains, you know.
Okay. Pablo?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a hard one because what do you say? Like John Cena with the kids was huge. A merchandise sales, probably the biggest ever. I mean, that guy was so massive. But I agree with Big Bird. I probably put him like number 5. But I'm judging it. I'm judging it on pure electricity. When you're in the arena and Hulk Hogan came out, except for the last time he came out when they booed him. But when you're in the arena, you feel electric. With Stone Cold, when you hear that glass break, electric. You know, and and then who else did you say?
The Rock.
Rock.
The Rock. My gosh, that's electricity right there, right? Okay, there's one more I'm going to put above John Cena too, and we're talking for the modern era. I'm going to put Roman Reigns. I'm going to put Roman Reigns. Then I'm going to put John Cena. I'm going to put John Cena, and only because, but John Cena, if you judge him by the stats and out of my emotions, man, he's way up there. You can't get bigger than him. Only one probably bigger is probably Hulk. Other than that, man, he's bigger in merchandise sales. The kids loved him. I mean, dude, he has a following like no other. So it's crazy. So it depends how you judge it. So I put him number 5.
Okay.
I know that's blasphemy to some of you.
No, I can't wait. I can't wait to give my picks, man. Okay. Eric, where do you rank them?
I'm thinking about just influence. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. If we're talking influence, I think he's on the Mount Rushmore. I'm not going to say who's in front or who's behind him, but he's definitely top 4 in my eyes. I wasn't alive for the Hulk days. I wasn't alive for Stone Cold and The Rock days, but I was alive for the John Cena days. And he held a lot of influence, and the entire world knows who John Cena is. So maybe there's a little bit of bias there. But I think he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore, man, because of the influence and the impact that he had.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt, and you would know because you grew up in it. That's cool.
And okay, so that's what I want to get. Exactly what you point out there. Okay. I could probably go to, I don't know, Timbuktu, Thailand or something, right? And say Stone Cold Steve Austin. Maybe they know who I'm talking about. Maybe they don't. But there's 2 names that I can bring up and they will know who I'm talking about. Hulk Hogan and John Cena. John Cena is as close as it will ever get to the popularity that Hulk Hogan ever had. Maybe he's even bigger. I got no idea. It's a tough comparison. It's a tough comparison. I'm going to still say Hulk Hogan is a little bit bigger. Why? Because even if you didn't watch wrestling, my mom knows nothing about wrestling. She hated it. She thought it was stupid. She thought it was dumb. I grew up in that house, and she just thought it was the dumbest thing ever. She couldn't name you a wrestler. She doesn't know who my favorite wrestler of all time is, which is Bret the Hitman Hart. Okay. But she knows Hulk Hogan. She knows who that is. Everybody knows who the Hulkster is. Whether you were around in his time or whether you weren't, you know who the Hulkster is. You know the colors, the yellow, the red. You know who Hulk Hogan is. John Cena, in my opinion, is as close as it comes to the Hulkster. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was huge, but he was huge just to wrestling fans. I don't think he was huge outside of wrestling. I think if you go as non-wrestling people, hey, Stone Cold, they might know who he is. Maybe, maybe not, right? The Rock, I'll make an argument for this. I think The Rock probably actually became a much bigger star because of his movies, right? He got into some of the most popular movies out there in the Fast series and all that stuff. He became a much bigger star, okay? John Cena movies were terrible. Gosh, they're awful.
Come on,
God, man.
Come on, the Marine's a classic.
Hey, don't hate.
Those movies suck, dog. 12 rounds. Those movies are
that one's a classic too.
those movies are gosh awful, right? And the Hulkster movies, I mean, outside of No Holds Bar, all his movies, man, are pretty bad as well. But I think The Rock just became a big star because of his, what he did with the movies and everything. But Roman Reigns, I'm gonna have him at third. So I'm gonna have Hogan at 1, and I don't think that'll ever be touched. I think he was the perfect guy for the perfect time for the perfect moment. It was complete lightning in a bottle, right? John Cena, I'm going to give more props to John Cena that I will to Hogan, even though I think Hogan's a bigger star. But I'm going to give more props to John Cena because John Cena had to do what he had to do coming out of the Attitude Era. I want everybody to think about this. WWE went back to rated PG, right? They came out, the Attitude Era was anything goes, man. You had bra panty matches, bikinis, Stone Cold drinking beers, you had all these storylines that had sex involved and nudity and just all this stuff. People getting beat up at the Stone Cold beating up a Booker T at the grocery store. You had all this just crazy stuff, right? Coming down the ramp and beer trucks and all. It was complete mayhem, right? It was
the choppy.
The choppy. It was complete mayhem. The Attitude Era, and it was great. It was badass. But then they said, okay, we're gonna get away from all that. We're gonna get away from all that edginess, all the fire, all the explosions, all the Undertaker trying to crucify Stephanie McMahon with the corporate ministry and all that stuff. We're gonna get away from all that, and we're gonna go back to just traditional 1980s kind of wrestling with some of the talent that has kind of blown up a little bit more. It's not going to be 1980s wrestling, but more modern day, but we're going to get away from all that stuff. John Cena had to become that guy and make people interested in wrestling and not lose the audience, even though you were taking something away. You were taking a huge portion of what wrestling had become. You're taking away all that edginess. To have a guy come in after that and talk about try to be the modern day Hulk Hogan. Yeah, you couldn't say your prayers. You couldn't say take your vitamins. So what did John Cena have to do? He came up with the hustle, loyalty, respect, keeping it like a little bit more streetwise, keeping it like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make it cool. How do I make it cool? Hustle, loyalty, respect. I'm a little bit of a rapper, never give up. He did a lot with the military. He had to work, man, for this to work. And that's why I give John Cena more credit than anybody else that ever was on that, top tier, like the Roman Reigns, like the Stone Colds, like the, Hulk Hogan's. I give him more props, but I think ultimately, I don't think anybody would touch Hogan's superstardom. I think John Cena comes as close as it can be, though. So, and Roman's very popular too, man. Let's not get away from that, Big Bird. I'm talking to you, Holmes. Roman Reigns, dog. Be the tribal chief, Holmes.
He became popular when he became the tribal chief, not necessarily before, I'd say, man.
Hey, I wanna add something real quick, right? So I agree with you, Cholo Trucker, because I started watching wrestling when I was 5. So at that time, Hulk Hogan wasn't even in WWF no more.
Mm-hmm.
He was in WCW. I think he had left. But it's funny because before I started watching wrestling, like my dad, rest in peace, he had bought me the Hulk Hogan toy, the big one. And then we had the WrestleMania for Nintendo, with Hulk Hogan ripping the shirt. We had the Mr. Nanny movie and I think so how you say Suburban Commando? The one with the Undertaker?
Suburban Commando, where Undertaker's the bad guy in that one.
Yeah, and it's funny because I knew who he was before I started watching wrestling. Like, I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like you say, like if you ask somebody, "Hey, Hulk Hogan," like even if they never watch wrestling, they know. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's that wrestling guy, right? The one with the
Right.
yellow and the red." And even I agree with you because if you go and you ask somebody, "Oh, John Cena," sometimes they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he." Maybe people that don't watch wrestling, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's the guy that comes out and in that show. What's it called? I forgot the show he's in right now."
They would know something about, they would say like, yeah, they would know who you're talking about, whether they're a fan or not. They would know who you're
Um,
talking about. I don't see that with Stone Cold unless you're a wrestling fan. There might be some people that know who Stone Cold is, but outside of wrestling fans, very few, as opposed when it comes to Hulk Hogan and John Cena. I think those two guys, The Rock blew up more, in my opinion, because of the movies, so but I think those two guys stand alone, but I would give the edge to Hogan, yet I give more props to John Cena because in the era that he did it, he had to do it following the Attitude Era where things were to calm down. It's like, you're gonna lose a lot of fans, dude. You just got everybody all wound up, all the teenagers, all the young 20-year-olds and everything, drinking beer and showing all chicks naked and mud wrestling and all that stuff. How are you now gonna? How is this gonna work, dog? It's just not gonna work. John Cena made it work, man, to bring it back to rated PG, and he still kept he made it cool, So I give more props to him than I do to Hogan. But with that, gentlemen,
Hey, before you close out, can I ask a question?
Go for it, man.
Actually got two questions for everybody, just really quick. I'm just curious on this, and inquiring minds out there might want to know. Do any of you even watch AEW?
Big Bird?
To be honest, I try. I try watching AEW, but I don't know, man. I'm so invested like in WWE that it this happens to me a lot, like back then too, like when WCW, ECW were active. I try
Mhm.
watching those because my cousins and my friends, but I don't know, it doesn't catch my attention. Like I know some of the wrestlers, even you'd be like, hey, you know who like MJ is, what's his name? MJF? I forgot his
Yeah.
name. Yeah, like if you ask, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is how he looks, the Young Bucks or whatever. But no, I don't watch. Like I try, but I just can't get into it. How about yourself?
Eric, Eric.
I watched NXT before I would watch AEW. Honestly,
I'd rather watch
personally,
Triple A, Triple A, Triple A.
Okay. MJF, in my opinion, if I ever turn on, I got 3 TVs in my living room, right? I can't stop saying that because I live like a king. If
That's right.
AEW is
That's right.
on, if AEW is on and there's nothing else going on, I'll put it on one of the small TVs. AEW has never touched the big screen, never.
Wow.
I just have it on the side screen just to have it on. MJF is probably the only reason why I have ever tapped into AEW. When it first came around, I tried to give it a chance. I'm like, yeah, nah. I actually would watch NXT, and believe it or not, I'd rather actually watch TNA before AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know one person that watches AEW. That's why I'm asking. And my second question, I don't either. But my second question is this: I haven't been following too close. It's a two-part question. One, are you guys excited? And it may be old news. Is if Chris Jericho comes, and two, what do you think of what's her name? Sasha Banks. What's her name now? I forget her name. Mercedes. What do you think of her saying that the girls in WWE got nothing on her? Wrestling wise. What do you guys think of those two things?
Big Bird?
Okay. So me, I had the privilege to meet Sasha Banks in person, which I was surprised because in real life she's really a good person. Like she's really humble or whatever. I don't know, but Nah, man. She just has a big ego. Or maybe it's her character, but like if she goes against like maybe Rhea Ripley or like that, they'll for sure beat the brakes out of her, you know. And then the other question, what was it? I forgot
Jericho.
already.
How do you feel about Jericho possibly
Oh,
coming?
well, I grew up watching Chris Jericho, you know, like the attitude, you know, the end of the attitude era and the ruthless aggression era. So I'm not a big fan of his, but like I do like him, you know, I like watching him and stuff like that. Like which I wouldn't mind for him to come back to WWE only for this last run and go into the Hall of Fame, which I think he is because I don't know if you noticed when you were watching Raw this Monday when CM Punk told Roman Reigns, "Oh, you just made the list." So
Oh,
like, you know, they teasing something. They always plan something, you know. Like WWE, they smart with it, you know. But me, since I've been watching wrestling for, I think, damn man, almost 31 years, you know. I
Okay.
get everything. You know how earlier I get everything. That's why I don't get mad. Like, okay, why Brock Lesnar beat up John Cena? Because every wrestler has a kryptonite, you know. Like Undertaker and John Cena, for sure they're gonna lose to Brock Lesnar. And
Oh
then you know,
gosh.
like, and and why The Rock wins because that's The Rock's thing. He gets to brag that he beat Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and John Cena at WrestleMania. Like that's his thing, you know. Like I don't know if that makes sense, you know. But me, I you know, like I like watching wrestling as a surgeon, you know, like, and I put everything together, you know, the dots, you know.
dope.
Okay. Okay. Eric, your thoughts on Mercedes or Sasha Banks and Chris Jericho?
I mean, WWE has a lot of female talent. I think um they're doing well. As for Chris Jericho, I don't really have much to say about that one, honestly. As for Chris Jericho, if he brings back the list and starts calling people stupid idiots again, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
It'd be funny, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. When for me, look, once upon a time, I thought, Sasha Banks, Bailey, the four horsewomen, right? Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bailey. Those four ladies definitely stood out once upon a time. Those four ladies, man, they started changing the game. They started bringing a lot more relevancy to women's wrestling. Getting it away from all that other stuff that they're doing, where it's just a bunch of good looking chicks. You know what I mean? I've said it before, like the Tori Wilsons and everything. Like there's some hot looking girls, but the chicks can't wrestle, man. Those ladies changed the game. Since then, there's been a lot of badass ladies, man, that have come up. So dog. I think she can still throw down, but she's definitely not young anymore with some of these young girls that have come up, man. Girls like La Primera, she can definitely throw down. A lot of these girls can really throw down now, man. So as far as Y2J, look, I want him to come back to the WWE, not to see him wrestle. The dude's in his 50s. He's got a beer belly on him. But I'm with Eric. If he comes back, brings back the list, and just has like a 1 year run, you don't have to get him in some big storylines, just so he could retire in the WWE, then I'm cool with it. But if he's going to come back and they're going to put him in some serious storylines and everything, I'm like, nah, the guy can't wrestle like that anymore, man. So that's where I stand with it.
Hey, Cholo, do you? And I know we're already supposed to be ending. Just as this last one to Cholo, you met with Chavo Guerrero Jr. person, one-on-one. You talked to him. You interviewed him.
Mm-hmm.
I know at that time he was very cut up. He's very like buff. Like, dude, he signed to WWE. I don't know if you know that, but he signed to WWE right now. He's been there for like a year. Will we ever see him on the ring, or do you think he's just backstage?
I think he's just backstage, man. I don't know how much of a. The only thing that would make sense, what would be actually a good storyline, if they start a storyline between him and Dirty Dom. That,
Oh,
that
that'd be a good one.
that'd be a good storyline, man. It's like, hey, remember, my Eddie Guerrero was your boppy or is your boppy. You know what I mean? Like that would be they could do something there. They could do
Wouldn't
something.
that be crazy? That would be so good. WWE better be listening to that one, bro.
Hey, I wanna add that if Chris Jericho comes back, just keep your shirt on, you know.
Yeah.
And then
He
Hey, he
another
lost
thing,
the beer belly, bro. He's cut up right now. He lost it.
I don't know about that.
He
He's
did,
sagging.
bro.
His nipples are sagging. Just nah, man.
and then another thing I want to add that my prediction, I feel like maybe 5 years, 6 years from now, WWE is just gonna be pure females. No more guys.
I don't know, man. Saudi Arabia, they don't really do all of that, man, with the ladies. They gotta they gotta dress up like Power Rangers over there. So
What's up with that, huh? The man wearing tights, the man wearing speedos. I don't
all
know.
right, fellas. Hey, fellas, I gotta get up out of here, man. But hey, gracias so much for jumping on and being part of the panel and discussing one of the greatest to ever do it. And let's see whoever becomes the next biggest star. I mean, Roman Reigns is there as well, but he's somewhat of a part-timer. So I don't know, man. We'll see who's gonna be the next biggest star out there. To me, John Cena and Hulk Hogan kind of stand alone, and then maybe right behind them there's a couple of other guys. But to me, those two guys stand alone. But with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there from South Central Los Angeles. That is one Mr. Big Bird right there. Pablo from the LA Times. That's right, man. Hey, if you want to be a winner, everybody, make sure you tap out. Make sure you tap out.
He tapped out like a little bitch.
From the Pick Six channel, you guys want to know about the NFL, the guy down here, Eric, will let you know what time it is, and Eric will not tap out.
He tapped out like a little bitch.
Cholo Trucker Wrestling Rehab. Catch you guys on the next one.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.